time skipping and won't play Neverness to Everness is seriously something I feel like I've heard dozens of times from so many different sources on the internet, especially before the most recent beta. But honestly, we were wrong about this game. Before we go further, I'd like to first detail that this video is not sponsored by any means by NTE, and is also a review from someone that's basically completed the entire game. I've cleared all of the story that's currently available, upgraded most characters and equipped them with differing levels of gear, and I've encountered the quote-unquote endgame, which is the Shiyu defense or the Memory of Chaos equivalent. Now with this, while first impressions painted it as another experimental open world beta, I'm surprised at just how much this game has to offer. From deep progression systems, expressive characters, a surprising amount of depth to its world, and a responsive development team, NTE is shaping up to be something far more interesting than we expected. With this, if you enjoyed today's video or learned something, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, let's break down everything we learned from the current beta of NTE and why it's turning into something I'm personally extremely excited for. Right off the bat, Neverness to Everness brings energy through its upbeat and creative soundtrack. The music is adaptive and changes depending on whether you're exploring or whether you're in combat in a way that adds to the actual atmosphere and isn't just passive. The sound effects during battle are crunchy and satisfying, and the combat soundtrack in particular keeps tension high and doesn't make you bored. Characters are fully voiced, including the protagonist, and to say their animations are incredibly expressive would honestly be underselling how insanely animated the characters are, especially during emotional cutscenes or comedic interactions. Mint specifically has an insane amount of facial and body language detail, rivaling even characters like Belle from Zenless Zone Zero, who seriously feels like she moves 100 times a minute in every cutscene. Now, exploration in NTE is a bit of a mixed bag, and regarding world traversal, climbing especially can feel restrictive. Now, despite this, you can drive vehicles off cliffs or scale with clever movement, but this doesn't fully make up for the lack of true aerial freedom. Now, in certain story moments, your movement is also artificially slowed down, and you're technically jogging but not walking, which happens mainly during investigation scenes. Now, that said, these slowdowns are limited to narrative-driven sequences, so they don't necessarily interfere with general gameplay, but it is something that you'll notice. To add to this, the game does introduce a quick action menu accessible during exploration, and holding the tab key will open a radial wheel for switching abilities or actions, making navigation and interaction feel pretty snappy. Now, despite there being obvious flaws to what I just mentioned, the ideas and general concepts are honestly pretty interesting, even just from the exploration and world design, which is going to be a constant factor and trend that you'll see in the current beta. While the actual execution feels like it could use a bit more polish or work, having these features makes the game feel much better in my opinion. Narratively, Neverness to Everness also shows a lot of personality alongside ambition. While the story currently caps at level 21, players will hit a progression wall around level 11 and need to reach level 16 in order to continue. This might be a turnoff for some players, but it's understandable given the beta status, and hopefully in the future it's not as annoying as it currently seems. The storytelling is dynamic and incredible, with Ace Attorney style investigations, Pokemon inspired battles, comic book visuals, and a mix of pre-rendered and in-game cutscenes. The game really isn't afraid to get weird either, as certain scenes will have the world spinning, dizzying, or morphing right before your eyes, and truthfully it does make the game feel more unique as opposed to what we're traditionally comfortable with in this modern era of gacha gaming. Now, of all the details from NTE's beta, the storytelling and quest giving is definitely the general concept that stuck out the most, as it's definitely bold and much different than the standard for storytelling in most gacha games currently. NTE's combat is another part of the game that really surprised me though. Think of it as a fusion between Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, or kind of similar to that of Honkai Impact. You can swap characters mid-combat, gain different abilities, and actually be rewarded from entering and exiting combat using the synergy system built into the game. And similar to both action combat titles, NTE offers you many incentives for dodging and parrying mechanics. Now, parrying here is also slightly more forgiving in terms of timing while still being satisfying, and this will often lead to powerful counters. But admittedly, both dodging and parrying don't feel nearly as solid as comfortable as other action combat titles, which is a shame, especially with how strong it seems to be in this game. Regarding enemies, some bosses like Tagido even feature interactive mechanics like picking up and throwing objects mid-fight, and all of this makes combat encounters and boss fights feel much more alive and feel less cookie cutter as per most bosses and encounters in most games. The only downside here again is that the combat does feel like it still needs a bit more polish, as the controls did feel somewhat buggy or clunky at times. However, I did also feel that the limited number of available characters to test could also have affected my combat experience. That said though, I did find the foundation and concepts of combat in this game to be very solid, especially regarding the element system, and though of course there are obviously things that they need to work on, this is a beta and they did preempt that a lot of what you'll see here is still a work in progress. Now, one of the other standout systems in NTE is its wanted level, and it's not just cosmetic either. either, it directly impacts how NPCs treat you. Before we get into that though, if you've seen gameplay or initial footage of NTE recently, you've likely been shown players being able to steal cars from random civilians, and to be more accurate and probably more PG, if I'm being honest though, the player doesn't necessarily steal cars from NPCs, they commandeer/take it the way that a police officer could. That said, this actually has more depth to it than you'd think. Now, regarding the actual process of taking a car from a civilian, you'd imagine that NPCs would simply get out of the car and hand it over as, well, I'm an acting officer of the law. However, based on your reputation or some other system that I haven't found the exact details of, NPCs will actually ignore you or flat out reject your request. And to say I was shocked when this happened at first would be an understatement. Mint even goes out of her way to say something along the lines of, according to section XYZ of 456 Police Handbook, and the NPCs will unironically sit there and say, actually, I've also got something super urgent going on. Like, what? Now, there's a way around this, but that's where we need to talk about the wanted level system. If you perform illegal activities like stealing from stores or hitting civilians out in the open, you progress and can even trigger one of 3 wanted levels. At tier 1, 1 or 2 police officers will pursue you. At tier 2, a full police squad will chase and open fire on you. And at tier 3, you're jailed and sent to a separate dimension where you battle a giant police robot warden. And although it's tough, it is beatable. However, it does deal most of your health in one hit, and I actually haven't been able to get through this fight without dying. That said, I am curious what you get from actually beating this enemy. Now, with this wanted level system, if said NPC denies your request and says something along the lines of, I'm busy too, you can actually punch or assault the NPCs in order to commandeer and take away the car from them forcibly, but of course this comes at a cost, and in most cases you'll instantly gain a single tier of a wanted level. Still, this is an insane level of detail for a feature that I don't think most people would even think about. Now let's talk about progression, life skills, and the city management of NTE. Characters in NTE aren't just for combat. Each one has unique life skills that affect non-combat activities, including shop management, and when these skills are upgraded, your management level and your passive income will also increase. This can unlock shops that generate even more passive income, and eventually this will lead to you getting more resources, which will then allow you to acquire more properties that will then add actual functional, not just cosmetic features. These properties, however, are more accurately apartments/living spaces, and they can help you in actually meaningful ways, like providing you with the ability to use skip tickets, increasing your total energy cap, adding direct stat bonuses to characters, or even lowering your wanted level, assuming that you teleport to it. Now, honestly, this might be one of the game's most compelling systems, as it actively encourages you to engage with the city and life sim mechanics, and the best part of this is that the rewards do feel meaningful, offering real benefits to your characters and daily progression. Now, farming in the early game is definitely one of NTE's weaker points though. Now, to be fair, sure, it's expected that combat will feel harder when your characters are under-leveled, under-geared, and we're also in a beta, but even accounting for all said factors, gathering resources or character materials can feel tedious, and enemies often come across as too tanky, or your damage just isn't cutting it, even with the limited characters. Now, to add to this, the parry and dodge systems, as previously mentioned, didn't feel reliable enough to necessarily outskill higher level enemies, and on top of this, there's no current automatic healing outside of combat. Now, while this lack of healing does fit the open world vibe, it adds to the difficulty in a way that can feel more punishing than rewarding. And while it's easy to say skill issue, the reality is that other gacha or action titles often offer more accessible or even get more materials. Now, the one thing that saves a lot of what I just mentioned is that some teleporters will heal you when approached, and after being given a number of resources in the mail, it did feel much easier to progress and farm later. However, still, like the 1.0 patch of many action combat games, NTE currently suffers from issues like your health and energy not refilling when re-entering or retrying farming domains, and that's something that I personally hope gets addressed in future updates, as it's become more of the norm and is pretty much present in most modern game gachas. However, still, if you enjoy a challenge in careful resource management, I could see how this would feel more rewarding than frustrating. Still, however, if they're looking to appeal to casuals or a more wide audience, this is something they should look into, especially for the next beta or the actual release. Now, in terms of the development and feedback response, even from just the beta, I do need to give a huge shout out to the development team. Now, during the beta, we saw real-time hotfixes for bugs, crashes, and unintended mechanics, and this this, alongside being given enough resources to actually test out the mechanics of the game, is actually well appreciated. Now, what I just mentioned might sound like a given, however, as someone that's played a lot of betas, especially for more recent gacha games, this can oftentimes not be the case. And let me be clear, trying to test out the characters or the mechanics of a game when you aren't even given enough resources to pull a character or play any of the mechanics is hugely limiting. So yes, I do appreciate and am actually thankful for having this in a beta. However, I do get that this does sound kind of weird, as you'd expect this is a standard for most betas, but sadly, this isn't always the case. Now, ultimately, Neverness to Everness isn't perfect, but it shows heart, style, and a surprising amount of depth between the expressive characters, layered and interesting systems alongside its reactive combat. There's a real gem in here in the making. To add to this, if the beta is any indication, the devs are willing to polish and evolve the game, and this is a great sign for anyone that is invested and wants to see this game go further. So yeah, if you were someone like me who decided that they would initially look past NTE and was more interested in other gacha games / titles releasing in the future, I think it's fair to say that I, or anyone that thought the same, were kind of thinking wrong. And being serious, I'm glad that we were. Anyways guys, if you found today's breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on NTE and other upcoming titles. I'll see you all next time though. Thanks again for watching, and as always, of course, this is just my own opinion and review of Neverness to Everness. See you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, good night.